She listened to Parachutes the other day, and she like when she was done with it, she walked up to me and just started kissing me or whatever. She's like, "I love you, husband," right? And then she started crying. She started crying. I'm being dead real. She started crying. And I hope she don't mind me telling this story, but she started crying. She was like, "You did an amazing job with that book."
Welcome back to the Bookfest Club. I am your co-host, Jay.
And I'm your other co-host, Jules.
And today we got a very, very special guest
No
in
doubt.
the building. The brother stopped by to give us a little bit of his time, but we ain't going to hold him up because we got a lot of questions that we want to ask. This is our first narrator. Let's be clear. Right. This is the first for the Bookfest Club. We haven't had a narrator. You know what I'm saying? We dealt with authors.
Y'all chose right. Let them know. Y'all chose right.
So it's only right that we enter this narration space, because I got some questions about Sean and Brooklyn Bully. We'll get to that when we get to that. You know what I'm saying? But first, we got to do it. We got to do it, too. We got to do it.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, we got a man in the building who has spent so much time in women's headphones. Some of these fictional boyfriends y'all talk about might need to start paying rent. All right? He's narrated over 239 books. 239. Get that through your head. At this point, Audible might need to give this man his own zip code. Let's be clear. All right? You've heard the voice, that smooth, grown man bass in the floorboards. Go ahead and cancel your plans for this evening. Tight baritone. All right? Did I do it right, Jay? Did I do it right? All right, a little bit. I got to work on it. But understand something. Midnite Michael ain't just in the romance business. This man has lent his voice to Kia, to the Los Angeles Clippers, to Boeing, Powerade, PBS, Coke, Pepsi, Gatorade, FEMA?
Come on now.
And more. So basically, he can sell you a car. He could sell you a soda. He could teach you an online course. He could give you instructions during a natural disaster. Tonight, we're talking voices. We're talking romance. We're talking Black storytelling. We're talking the business behind the booth. Mm-hmm. We're talking about what happens when the narrator becomes more than just famous. All right? He's coming bigger than the character himself. And yes, we're absolutely talking about those spicy scenes, ladies. All right, we're going to get into it. Bookfest Club. Y'all already know what time it is. Do you know what time it is? Time to get... Hey, listen, pun intended. It's midnight. That's what time it is.
Let's go.
It's midnight. Welcome to the Bookfest Club, Midnite Michael.
Let's make some noise, man.
I felt like I was on like a flex in the morning or something, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like,
no doubt.
I was about to turn around like who y'all bringing in? Yeah, who was that dude?
Nah, we definitely got to give the flowers, man. While you can smile on while you here, because what you do for the culture, for the urban space, for the romance space, putting on, like he said, commercials, FEMA, all of these different products. You have a talent, and you're showing up and coming men that we can just, our voice is very powerful, right?
Absolutely.
And you're jumping into it, and you're just showing everybody that they can do it too.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate y'all brothers, man. Like I said, before we got on, I saw y'all online. I was like, what they got going on over here, man? Because y'all are
wow.
If we want to talk about minorities, you know what I'm saying? In this space, y'all are truly a minority, but I love what y'all do. I couldn't wait to be on. I was like, man, what's taking them so long? You know what I'm saying? They don't know who I am. No, I'm playing.
No, we know
we know your work.
I was like, I'm gonna reach out to him. It was just like, how do I jump in? How do you go into the DM? You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy. It's crazy if I can just kind of talk about that. We're some of the realest people. Like, if you talk to me, Miles, all of us, like if you meet us, you're like, them some real ass dudes. You know what I'm saying? So don't like when you reach out to people in like me, just I'm gonna respond for sure. And like I said, when I saw what y'all were doing, I was like, I couldn't wait for that email or DM or whatever the case may be, for sure. But thank y'all for having me. Really appreciate it. let's get it going.
Let's get it going, man. Let me start it off, Juice. Since you gave me you gave me that immaculate intro, rightfully so.
I know. I was like, man.
We got to go with question number 1. I know people want to know, what's harder to narrate convincingly, a sex scene or an I love you scene?
Hey, yo, Juice here for the Bookfest Club. Wanted to take a break from the episode to let you know about our new merch store, man. This is a hat, navy, flagship Bookfest Club, signature hat. All right, it's the dead hat. I love it here. I'm going to take my hat off and let y'all see my bald spot. I don't even care. Got the little logo back there, the TBC logo there. Bookfest Club, this is the stitched logo here, man. It's really dope. We got a lot of stuff over there for the fellas, and we got a ton of stuff over there for the ladies, man. It's for the bookish community. It's for you, all right? Listen up, the Bookfest Club. Check it out. Link in the video description below. Now back to the episode.
I think they're and that was a good question because I kind of read through the package. I ain't studied like I was supposed to. Yeah, so I'm not prepared at all. I'm never prepared. But as far as like those two things, I think I treat them, kind of in an individual sense, right? So I really never compared them. But now that I think about it, probably the most convincing is the I love you scenes, right? Because sometimes it's like this guy has done all this terrible shit to this lady. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then we back here, he down on one knee. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love you forever. I want you to be my, and you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about all the wrong stuff, all the other side chicks. You know what I'm saying? He beat up the ex-baby daddy, you know what I'm saying? He's done all this stuff. But so it's kind of, it's I shouldn't say hard, but removing myself from that, right, and thinking about the moment, I think is important really to really focus in on that. But again, I would say that's a little bit harder than the sex. The sex scenes are, a little bit easier. They're fun. At first it wasn't though, because they were real nervous. If you go back to some of my first books, they were real nervous because my wife downstairs, you know what I mean? And I was like, damn, how do I do this? She gonna hear me, like, what's going on? But like the more I've done, like that's really the interview was
crazy.
I was like, wow. But she never said anything. She's always been on board. But yeah, the sex scenes are easy. The loves, I love you, scenes are a little bit more challenging for sure.
I got you.
Man, Mike, can I call you Mike, man? Midnight. I'm gonna call you Midnight.
No, you call me.
Cool.
Whatever, man.
That's what's up. Midnight. All right, man. You've narrated over more than 239 books. If we was to hop in the DeLorean, man, and go back in time and listen to audiobook number 1, your first one you ever recorded, what would current day Midnite Michael hear that would make him say, man, turn that off now?
Every damn thing. Everything, like, because here's the thing, right? All right. Little backstory in terms of how I got into narrating. My wife, my now wife, at the time we met, I was just getting into voice acting. Excuse me. And we talked on the phone a lot. And she was like, you should do audiobooks. And I was like, man, you sound crazy. Right? You know what I mean? Because I didn't get in this for that, right? I got in for the glitz of the commercial promo stuff, the movie trailer. Right? I'm trying to get into that lane. And she's like, no, you have a very smooth audiobook type voice. You should. And I was like, man, get crazy, man.
Audiobook type voice is crazy compliment.
It was, but I was like, I never. But then she was like, you should do black romance. I was like, nah, you really crazy now, right? Because I always looked at this space before now as kind of corny. You know what I'm saying? Like, thinking back to my days at Howard or whatever, like my girlfriends, like they were read like Eric Jerome Dickey and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, let me get crazy, man. Let's get out of here. So that's my mindset coming into the space. You know what I'm saying? And so getting into the space or whatever was a challenge in and of itself. So when I got my first book, right, I was really, kind of at resistant mode. I don't want to do it. But again, as a voice actor, we're trying to get work, right? So I was like, it's a job. Let's get to it, right? But the problem was I'd never done a book, and the author wanted me to produce the entire book. You know what I'm saying? For ACX and that kind of thing. I had no clue what was going on. And again, I'd never narrated a book at all. So everything was a first in that book or whatever. The first book number 1. That's why I say, like, man, don't, if you can, stay away from that book, because there was a lot wrong in terms of the execution of it, from a production standpoint and a narration standpoint. The one big positive takeaway is after completing the book, right, I realized I could do anything in this space. It was kind of like, going to war every day.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And it taught me a lot about myself. It taught me that I wasn't going to quit. It taught me that, I loved it. You know what I'm saying? I loved it more than I thought I would. And so those are the things the positive things I took away from. Now, as I could, if I listened to it and say, hey man, I would tell myself, hey, don't do it yet because you ain't ready. You know what I'm saying? I think give yourself some more time in the voiceover world, do a few more things, then come back to it. And definitely don't produce it. Definitely say,
okay.
I can't do that. I can't do that. Yeah, I'll narrate. You know what I'm saying? Because it was just too much. Gotcha. It was too much going on at one time. But yeah, it was a great experience. I appreciate it. And like I said, it was tough, but I'm here because of it for sure.
Okay.
So if we go, like you say, you're going back, right? I'm listening to the books because I thought Yo Sean was dope. I was like, wait, what? Because that was my first introduction to you, Brownsville Bully, right? So it was like, okay, this is weird. I was like, oh, the voice actor is good. Because, when you listening to a book, that could determine whether you want to finish it or not. The voice acting can determine
real talk
whether you want to actually finish the book or not. So you ever narrated a book and was like, yo, y'all really like this dude? Like the ladies love him. And then you ever said to him, like, yo, y'all really like this dude?
I would say the only person because I read that question too, the only character that stands out for me is Ocean from Applying Pressure by Siobhan Latrice, I should say, because he was a wild boy. He was crazy. He was crazy. I was actually, prepping for something the other day, and I was using an excerpt from that, and then I read a scene, and I was like, damn, I read that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because he was a little off. But, like I said, females love. Every time I go to someone that's like, hey, Ocean, is always Ocean. It's never,
wow.
It's not the peaceful brother. You know what I'm saying? The boy, the guy who takes care of his family, you know what I'm saying? Or the guy who just sells drugs, you know what I'm saying? And just, helps the community, right? It's always the guy, it's always Ocean. And I'm like, for real?
Turkeys for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Nino, right? You know what I'm saying? There's always Ocean, the dude that's killing everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Twice. And, but yeah, Ocean is that dude. He's but I say this about a lot of those characters and what the author's really good about, establishing like their redeeming qualities too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he did all that, but he's also a loving brother, a loving grandson, all this kind of stuff that, I can relate to, you know what I'm saying? And that we can all relate to. So I think there's, like I said, there's the crazy, and I think the females love that way more than they love the other stuff, but I think those redeeming qualities they appreciate as well.
So real quick follow-up, Drew, which narration or which character is your favorite out of all of your narration books? The books you narrated, sorry.
So there's favorite? That's a good question. And it's hard. It's really hard because everybody is so different for the most part. The one outlier is, excuse me. I'm not sure if you all are familiar with Nia Forster. She wrote a book called The Lover, titled The Lover. And there's the lead male character in that, his name is Spencer. And for whatever reason, it felt like we were brothers the entire time I was reading the book. Like there was just so much relatability and so much kinship that I discovered as I, again, because I try to read the book when I can in advance, but many times I'm discovering just like, the reader's discovering. So I discovered, I went on the journey with him as I read the book. And it's one of those books, like I said, a lot of times I don't have a lot of time to read the entire book. And many times I just read my section I actually read my section. I skim the other section, but I read my section, focus on that section. I read this entire book. You know what I mean? It was that good to me. And like I said, it was a great love story in the sense of it's not romantic, but it's real. You know what I mean? And like I said, his character was very relatable. It made me cry a lot, made me think about my grandma a lot, made me think about my wife a lot, and all this kind of stuff, right? And just some of the things I went through as a kid. We shared that, and again, I really appreciated that journey, and being part of his journey, if you will, and discovering myself in it. Excuse me. Yeah.
Wow, you don't think about that, the emotional impact that a book is having on the narrator while they're reading it, man. Because I know, just as the reader, as the one that's consuming the content, it's having an emotional impact on us. But I never thought of like just, you just think that they're in there being a robot, just, professional and everything. But this is having
this is us.
The content is having
I think
that's real.
The separating, and again, each narrator is different, and each narrator brings something different to the table. But I think the one unifying and common, denominator is that what can you bring? How much of yourself can you bring to the book every time. You know what I'm saying? Again, like we think about, okay, the trope of, the drug dealer, right? The drug dealer kingpin, which I love, right? Which I love. Don't get me wrong. It's probably my favorite thing to do.
I love it too.
Right? I grew up like watching The Wire. I grew up in in these places, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like it's all about the nuance, right? How much of you can you infuse into this character to separate him from this character, to separate him from that character, right? So yeah, we do, and again that kind of separates the narrators from the narrators, right? And so it's about acting, but it's about being real as well. And I think that's a big part of what makes these characters pop for you guys.
That's dope, man. Hey, the women are talking Midnite. They're talking.
What they saying?
They say audiobook men have raised their standards, man. And so with that, there's us regular guys that are out here, right? That's just, me and Jay, we're just out here being dads, raising families, being husbands, Are narrators partially responsible for ruining regular men?
I thought about that. But nah, because it's a fantasy, right? You know what I mean?
I can't compete, bro.
But that's like saying,
I'm taking notes, but I can't compete.
That's like saying, do sex toys, ruin sex? You know what I'm saying? Right? In a way, right? Because yeah, it does the job, but what remains after the job is done? I think that's the key, right? Like what's when you're done listening to Midnite, right? When you're done listening to Miles, Wesley, Jacob, all of us, right? When you're done listening to all these people, where do you got to go? Right? Who you running to? Like, I know for me, when I step out the booth, I'm going to my wife. You know what I'm saying? Right? And
that's real.
We're building. But again, like I said, to each his own. And I would like to believe anyway that we're not ruining things for, like, a quote unquote regular man. You guys are not regular. You guys are amazing as dads, as husbands, et cetera. Right? I think that's important to remember. So no, I don't think we're ruining. I think we're just kind of giving women, giving readers, I should say, just a different way to look at things, other characters to kind of gravitate towards. Again, getting away from TV, listening. There are a number of benefits to it, but I don't think it's ruining anything. That's my opinion.
I would have said maybe 15 years ago, I'd have been like, nah, y'all ruining everything for us. Cause I'd have been like, yo, these girls got these unrealistic expectations. But I don't think the outside of the money portion, if you sit back and you talk about the love and the tender and the care, that's what we should be doing. And I think sometimes we do lose sight of it. And I know for some small gestures that we can control in our everyday life that we might forget, holding doors, holding car doors, just stuff like that. We might forget, and you listening to it in an audiobook and you're like, oh snap, let me lock in with that. So I think that's now, with these books, and especially with narrators, it's like, like you and Miles, like I was talking about, like y'all top of the chain. So when we listen to y'all, it's like y'all bring that out of, I know for somebody like me, I'm talking personally, y'all bring the remembrance back for me in that aspect.
To that, if I can jump in real quick, and that's a good point. Very good point. But again, if you meet it, if you guys are meeting me right now, if you see me in action in real life as a husband, as a dad, I'm probably everything you read. Those nuances you spoke of, I open doors. I'm very attentive to my wife. I'm very attentive to my daughters. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm not just putting on for the books. It's what I live too. You know what I'm saying? And Miles, and again, you meet Miles, he's the same way. I haven't met many other narrators, but I'm pretty sure the story is the same for all of us, right? We certainly like embellish because we have to. That's our job. But at the same time, we live it to a certain degree as well.
So if I ask you, if AI clones your voice perfectly, right? They did like what they did with Beanie Siegel. They took it back to when he had the bass in his voice when he was from Philly. But they can't take that same, you can't take that when he's like Siegel and he's saying them S's and all that, and he really going hard. Like, what's one of the things that if AI cloned your voice, they couldn't steal?
It's just too heavy. It's too heavy. Like there's a depth to it. And I've discovered this, right? Yeah, it's a deep voice, but there's a heaviness to it that I don't think at this stage anyway that AI could replicate. And I think that's for me, that's the superpower, right? You know what I'm saying? Because some of the things, in some passages, I go to a place of depth that, again, a lot of people can't go to. And that sounded crazy, so pause.
Yeah, nah, you good.
But yeah, I think that there's a heaviness to my voice that at this point in time, I don't think AI could replicate, and I'm really proud of that. For sure.
And I had a pause moment too in my head because I was thinking about the scene of you in the FMC in Brownsville. But I'm like, oh, man, when he said it, I'm like, oh, nah, let me pause that. But I was thinking about the sex scene in that book, and I was like, oh, all right, I understand now.
Yeah, it's because we're blessed to be able to move in certain places that our voices are so distinct that we can do certain things that, again, I don't think, unless AI is really the programmers are really good, they can't capture it right now.
Got you. Understood.
In my opinion.
I want to kind of go back to a topic that Jay touched on earlier, as far as just like how a narrator can, make or break whether or not you finish an audiobook. And I guess it's surrounding the thought of, are we entering an era where somebody will buy an audiobook because Midnite Michael is narrating, or, one of these big dogs are narrating it without even knowing who wrote it? And if that's already happening, when does the narrator become a star instead of the author?
Credit.
Yeah, you're just not a credit there. It says
narrated by. You're the star.
Yeah, that's a wild question, because again, I didn't. So just kind of retracing the steps, right, of how I got here. I didn't get in it for that, right? The job, it was about the work, right? When I started voice acting, the goal was to be the best ever, right? Think about that statement: to be the best voice actor ever, right?
And those movie trailer voices were crazy back in the 80s.
How do we qualify or quantify the best, right? There's really no way to do that. So as time kind of evolved and I grew as an actor, it became less about that statement and more about, be the best in my space, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's always about the work, right? So when we start learning about people appreciating us, at this level or whatever, it's foreign, it's weird, because I'm just me, you know what I'm saying? And so to kind of circle back to your question, when we see that, it's still wild. It's still wild to me, because I'm like, we're not us without the author. You see what I'm saying? There's the cart before the horse thing. We're not us without the authors, right? And certainly, we bring value to the space, but at the same time, these authors, man, they've been doing it for much longer than I have. Many of them, you know what I'm saying? And when I get a chance to work with a Casey Mills, for example, or hopefully one day a Danielle Allen or Takara Allen, for example, these are powerhouses. You know what I mean? And I bow down to them every time, man. Like, I'm thankful. You know what I mean? So my perception is, I'm partnering with these people, with these women, and these men. At the same time, to your point, and that's a very valid, very, very valid observation, that sometimes people do come to the books because of Midnite, Wesley, Jacoby. You know what I'm saying? J.Y. Cole, all these people. Like, and so I get it, right? Our job and our responsibility, I think, is to always, show deference too, right? Because we're not, again, what are we reading without these authors? You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's all.
What are we reading? So but no, we thank God that we're able to bring attention to a lot of these projects, these books, these situations. You know what I'm saying? Just based on what we bring to the table. Call it star power, call it fame, call it whatever. But I'm glad we're able to help boost things because of the positions that we're in right now.
I got to give you some pushback a little bit, man. I got to give you just a little slight pushback. I'm looking at who narrating the book. Like, when I go to the book, for now, like, because I have my favorites, right? And from what I've seen online and the interactions that I've had, and just me seeing things, when they talk about, oh girl, you got to get the audiobook, they're like, who's narrating it? You know what I mean? Because they want their specific narrators. So my only thing for what I'm saying is, y'all hold a lot more power than what you think you do, because I want Wesley in all my books. That's just me. I like her voice, right? That's just me for what I like. I like your voice, pause. Miles is great. And I forgot the other one you mentioned, because I know he did a book that I had listened to as well. And I did like Amar voice and whoever did Danielle Allen. But it's like, it's certain people, but I've also listened to books where I'm like, man, they narrating it. I ain't doing. I don't.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Route. So it does kick off where the star quarterback got to have his running back now. You know what I'm saying?
However, you just can't have the voice without the bars.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Jada Kiss. You mentioned Beanie Siegel earlier. Can you imagine him having Soulja Boy tell him type bars, right? Having that stellar voice.
Yo, he about to diss us. Soulja Boy gonna diss us.
I know, right? Soulja Boy, don't take it seriously, man. But you know your bars ain't there, bro. Like, let's be clear.
He'll spaz in a minute. Like, who is these niggas? Like, what?
Okay, God.
I was just listening. Soulja Boy.
Like Midnite was there. You ain't say during the Midnight.
Like, right, word.
But yeah, I'm just thinking like, man, yes, the voice is key. But like to Midnight's point earlier, you know, it's like, man, where are they without the authors providing them with that stellar content and the words for them to speak? You know what I'm saying? You can have that baritone, Barry White type voice, but if you're whispering stupid nothings instead of sweet chocolate nothings,
whoa,
what are we talking about?
Right.
And I think it's become more like the NIL deal. You know what I'm saying? Before, back in the day, audiobooks wasn't out like that. You know what I'm saying? You wasn't getting the audiobooks. You know what I mean? So now with that new NIL money, you know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody, what is it? I ain't coming to your school if you ain't got no NIL deal for me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you really got to lock in with it like that. Like who got the bag? So now they got to come to where? They got to go to what? They got to go to the top narrators because that's how you going to push your books. That's how you going to push your sales. This is just real talk. You got to get the best, right? You know what I'm saying? You're not, if you ain't about to take an opportunity, if you got a hot series, you going to stick with the hot hand. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's who got the best when I go to the university. At the end of the day, we got to keep it a band. You know what I mean? I'm just saying.
I don't disagree with that. You know, and I because again, I wouldn't, when I first started, I wasn't even sure who people was, right? You know what I'm saying? Like when I first did a Love Belvin book and she reached out to me, I was like, that's cool. It's a book, you know what I'm saying? But to be, to eventually find out she loved Belvin, you know what I'm saying? I was like, wow, she's a really big deal. Like, and she chose me. To your point, she chose me, and because she felt that my voice was going to push it to another level. My brand was going to help push it to another level,
push her art to another level.
And so I think there's a certain balance between commerce and art. To your point, right? You got to measure. Again, do I want to give this new narrator a chance, or do I need to? Do we bring them back down the road? You know what I'm saying? Once we get established with this, you see what I'm saying?
I need to fill the tickets in the house. The seats got to get sold.
And so there's a certain balance you got to find, and thankfully we're able to help people do that for sure.
Absolutely. So what audiobook narration allowed you, to give back the sound of Black masculinity, and like some of your best work? Like what has made you, confident? What has made you, proud to kind of give that voice to us again?
Yeah, I think in this space particularly, I think I loved doing the parachute series by Takara Allen. I think it really spoke to just the complete spectrum of manhood, right? Our positives, our flaws, our responsibility, our fears, right? You know what I mean? And not being able to voice those. It spoke of loss, right? And trying to recover from loss and all this kind of stuff, right? It was so dense, and you would think there would be some resolve over the course of 3 books, but there was still like tension in the air once you drop the book. You know what I mean? And that's us, right? That's us as men. There's something always there, that we have to address, something that we have to be present for, something that we have to, just live in the moment and be proud of, right? So there are things that, again, that Parachutes brought out that I think from the Black male perspective, that we as men can take a lot from, not just because I read it, but I think she did a great job of conveying it. And again, one thing that, I find interesting is how women perceive the male, you know what I'm saying, as they write about the male, you know what I mean? And like I said, to Takara Allen, like, it was like, she was a dude, you know what I'm saying? It was like everything she said was like, it was something that we would have said, something that we would have done. you know, a way we would have thought, these kinds of things, right? In certain situations, it was 100% accurate all the way through. There was no misses. You know what I'm saying? From the song selections, right? She was talking about, you know, Vin playing certain songs. I was like, yeah, that sounds like a song Vin would play. You know what I mean? And so I think that was a good part of, again, to your point about bars, right? She gave me the bars, right? She gave me the words. She gave me the map. It was a matter of me just follow that map and make sure I didn't go off course too much. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think again, to answer your question, Parachutes is in this space is a good example of that. There are others. Like I said, outside of this, I did the Bass Reeves trilogy. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Bass Reeves. He's the so-called Lone Ranger.
Yeah. No, I heard about that one.
Yeah, and so
yes, I've seen that. There's a TV show out.
Yeah, and it was based on that book.
Yeah,
it was based on that book by Sidney Thompson, and it was a very dynamic. Again, it's historical fiction, but it was a very dynamic, well written kind of chronicling of his life, if you will. And again, like it just and it deals with a lot of the same things, right? You know, at that time, right? We think about, you know, just coming out of slavery and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And trying to manage a family. His wife had cancer. They didn't know what cancer, like that kind of cancer was, and you know, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, wow. And I'm crying. Like when I tell you guys, I'm crying for like at least hours at a time as I'm trying to read through this book, man, because I'm thinking about like he's dealing with his wife. I'm thinking about what if my wife had to deal with this?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And so I'm bawling. I'm losing it. You know what I mean? But even in that, right, trying to stay strong to get through the book, that's the thing. You know what I'm saying? Trying to cry through that, let those tears, you know, land on the page, and land on the microphone as well. It is important. So I think all of that is part of the Black male perspective, and it gives and lends itself to giving humanity to what we do, just beyond, like I said, what we listen to and what we think about.
That's dope. And hey, we're all fathers here, man. Absolutely. Jay's a father. I'm a father. We just sent our daughter off to college for her freshman year. You know, Jay is, you know, courageously parenting. You know, you're a dad. I realize.
Yeah,
exactly. And so you spent your career becoming hundreds of fictional men. Question: which has required the most work? Becoming those characters, those men that you speak for, or becoming the man you wanted your daughters to see?
Good question. I think it's the latter, right? Because, you know, and again, just we all go through life, and this is, you know, I'm not taking any shots at anybody, but I was previously married before, and you know, throughout that marriage, I was filling a role, more or less, right, of husband, provider, etc., right, you know, dad, and I was just kind of coasting through life, more or less. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I have a, you know, a decent job. I was able to provide, you know, at a high level, still am. But it's like, you know, I was just living. I was just existing. I wasn't living, as the saying goes, right? And my daughters saw that. You know what I'm saying? They you know, it may not have been like one of those things they pointed out, but I'm pretty sure they saw me kind of, you know, just moving through life, like whatever, just as his dad. You know what I'm saying? Which is cool, right? But, you know, in this space of, you know, post-divorce, you know, starting voice acting, getting remarried, I think they've seen a new me. They've seen, okay, there's a second act. There can be a second act to this, because I didn't pick up voice acting until I was 40. You know, and they were there to see me like struggle in the beginning, because I was taking online classes. My coach, I couldn't read. They were like, "Yo, Daddy can't read." It was killing me. You know what I'm saying? But they saw the evolution. They saw me trying something. They saw me, Dad, the voice actor. They began seeing more of Dad, the musician. They began seeing Dad smiling more. They began seeing Dad just kind of in a different light. You know, so it was challenging though to kind of, you know, just because again, like, you know, I almost quit voice acting the first week because I wasn't getting James Earl Jones type roles. You know what I mean? First week, I was like, I'm supposed to. Y'all hear this voice? Y'all hear me? Like I was losing it, right? In my mind. And I almost quit. Like a weekend. You can ask my wife. And so I think about what would happen if I would have quit then. You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And how challenging it was just to convince them. Like, God, I used to play stuff. I'm like, Dad, I did this commercial. That's what's up, fam. You know what I mean? It was nothing.
It was nothing. Yeah.
It was nothing. And it took a lot of that, a lot of just like, until they realized their dad, he's really this, you know what I'm saying? And so I would say like, being these characters is, I wouldn't say easy a lot of times. It's fun, right? Becoming a man, stepping into different shoes, or, showing your daughters or the sons or your children something different, right, than they've seen. That's a little bit more challenging because they know you as that. They've always known you. They've always known me as dad, like holding them, like since they were babies. And now they see me as like Midnite Michael. They see me as, this guy that does this amazing stuff over here. He's an amazing husband as well. That can happen again too, even if it's not our mom. You see what I'm saying? I think they've seen that. They've seen that evolution, and it's been a really positive journey over the last several years, for sure.
Wow. Is there ever, you talk about that dynamic and walking that line between, Midnite Michael and being a father, is there ever a character where Jeremy the father is fighting Midnite the actor?
The beginning, it was tough to, because it got to a point where I was asking myself, am I more Midnite than I am Jeremy? You know what I'm saying? Right. Because again, like for a long time, I was fighting for recognition. I was fighting because I have a background in music. I sing, I rap, I write, I produce, that kind of stuff. And the Midnite Michael moniker came as a result of that. And I thought I was going to win a Grammy. Like my hero was Jermaine Dupri, and I was like, I'm gonna be the next Jermaine Dupri, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? And so it was going to be like Midnite Michael, Jermaine Dupri in the same sentence. You know what I mean? And so for a long time, I was fighting for that. And then I got into, as, a lot of people will tell you, like, once you get into what you're really passionate about, all that stuff goes away. It doesn't even matter anymore, right? So yeah, I use Midnite Michael as a pseudonym, just cause, right? You know what I'm saying? Somebody asked me one day, do you want to use a pseudonym? I was like, yeah, I'm gonna run with that Midnite Michael, right? But I never thought it would be this, right? I never thought it would be this. And because it became this at various points in time, so I was like, man, am I more that than what I've been? You know what I mean? And so, I made this whole thing up, but is it really who I am? You know what I'm saying? So
that's real.
So but there's always that dichotomy, right? That we have to try to navigate and balance. You know what I mean? It's not always the characters. A lot of times it's us. You know what I mean?
As humans.
Yeah.
So you close it, Drew. But I'm gonna ask this question. So what are some of the struggles that you might still face? Even though you're decorated, right? We all go through struggles no matter how, how big we get. What are some of the struggles that you still find yourself with in this voice acting field?
It's a couple of things, right? It's easy, like when you start getting recognition, to be like, you know what? I'm gonna put it on cruise control this week. Right. Or I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna fall back a little bit. I'm not gonna work as hard as I once did or whatever. Right. When the truth is, we should be working harder, right? We should be grinding harder, right? Because the responsibility has grown, right? It's not even about like the money, the accolades, the notoriety. It's about the responsibility. You know what I mean? Now we're here. We're carrying a mantle for an entire group of narrators. You know what I'm saying? And for an entire community of readers. You know what I'm saying? And authors in this whole space, right? We're responsible now for a certain part of it. And so, we have to work harder every day. So one thing I have to guard against is complacency, right? It's also that, that imposter syndrome thing that, we and again, you ask any narrator, we feel that, it's like, dang, really? Me? You know what I'm saying? We still do that. Like, we still do that. Even though if you meet me at like, Black Romance or something like that, or you'll hear like, you'll hear the real Midnite. Cause I'm like, I'm nice, nigga. You know what I mean? Like, that's the attitude. It oozes out of me. Like, I'm cussing and using nigga out. I'm sorry.
You good.
It might be a family show. I'm sorry. But that oozes out of me, right? Even at home, I'm like, I'm Midnite, man. I don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's the attitude, right? But inside though, it's like, man, I'm Midnite though, but this might be over tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? There's still that, like, you know what I'm saying? Or people might forget about me, like, when this next group of narrators come up. You see what I'm saying? Right? So there's always
that. You
that.
still love me.
Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I was thinking about.
Hey, I can walk away. Game still love me. Shout out to Ace.
Hey, shout out to Ace.
Shout out to my money making Mitch. I love that movie. My bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I was about to go down the rabbit hole. I'm sorry.
Hey,
but no,
so Midnite.
there's a lot of truth to that though. Like, will the game still love me? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And like, like I want to do other stuff on it, but I never want to lead this. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like again, we talk about the responsibility, right? You know what I'm saying? It's not even just the accolade. It's like, yo, they need me. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
That's
I love
real,
hustle,
man.
They
what I mean?
need me.
Like,
So like, I want
thing.
to be there for my people, man. They built me. Like this community built me. Y'all built me, man. And so I can never see myself not narrate. It might not be at this level all the time, but certainly I'm always going to contribute some kind of way.
That's dope, man. And as we land the plane for this interview, man, we just want to ask one question, and that's pretty much while researching for this, I saw where your daughter once wrote that you were her hero.
Mm-hmm.
And as a father, I know that has to feel amazing, but you later publicly wondered, and I quote, "Am I still her hero?" And so all these years later, have you answered that question?
Oh man, like I'm about to cry real quick. Because she said that second grade, I was watching Die Hard, one of the Die Hard 4. I can't remember, Live Free or Die Hard or something like that. And there's a scene where he talks about, you get divorced, kids forget your name, da 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 da, and that's where that question came from. Am I still a hero after the divorce? Right, that kind of played itself out. But I think over time, just seeing how they respond to me, seeing the women they're becoming, right? I think that's a testament to them, like really seeing me as someone to look up to model themselves after. So yeah, I would say, overall, yeah, I'm still their hero. They still, they ain't forgot about me yet.
Right.
It's easy because they're
dope.
both, my oldest two are juniors in college, and they still rock with me. So I feel like I'm an important part. If I'm not their hero, I'm a very important person to them, and I take a lot of pride in that.
So what's next? What's next for Midnite Mike? If you can say, I know sometimes contracts and all that stuff be in the way, but if you can share, what's next for Midnite Michael coming up?
Man, I got a lot of books to narrate, but we're also a big thing I'm proud of too is that I have a audiobook production company called Are You Spoken For Productions, and we're doing a lot of. We're partnering with a lot of publishers. We're partnering with a couple of publishers, and we're also working with independent authors as well to, again, get their stories out the way that we feel they need to be put out. Again, because we know there can be certain ways that certain people handle certain things. We want to give it to, we want to give these authors an opportunity and let them know, right, we feel you. Like we're of the same cloth, right? And we can tell your story the best. So yeah,
that's dope.
So we're really proud of that part of what's going on. But we also, we're branding wise, we're trying to do some things next year. I know a lot of events are popping up, but we got one coming too. So, but we're trying to do a lot of things. We didn't know, we didn't know we would be here. So we're trying to figure it out right now. Right. I looked up one day and I'm like, yo, you want to do an interview? Like what? Me? Now I got to read this. You know what I'm saying? So we're still trying to navigate a lot of this stuff. But yeah, we got a lot of good things in store. Like I said, I'm most proud of the production company. And if y'all know anybody who needs a publishing or production company, send them our way.
That's what's up. That's dope, man. People want to get in touch with you, Midnite. How can they catch up with you, bro, on socials?
Just right now at Instagram, I'm heavy on there at around Midnite, MIDNITE. And we also have a website, areyouspokenfor.com, just spelled out all the way. But yeah, those are the two primary ways to access us. My wife is my wife Rikari, shout out to her. She's a big part of what we do. She keeps me in check. Like, yo, I know you got to read it. I know you got to read this book, but you also got to do this. All right, yeah.
Absolutely.
The dishwasher ain't gonna fill itself.
Exactly. And even with like stuff like this, right? She was like, I know you got to read this book, but you got to talk to these brothers too. Like she didn't say that for y'all, but there's a lot of situations where I'm like, man, they need me. Like, you know what I'm saying?
They need me. Like, you need me. You know what I'm saying? Without me. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like David Ruffin sometimes. You know what I mean? But
nobody come to see you, Otis.
But for real, it's all love, man, for everybody, for sure.
That's what's up,
Thank you, man. We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Sitting down with us, man. Yo, y'all go and support this brother.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to more. And there's some other titles that I got lined up, like the parachute one. That's definitely one because somebody actually recommended me that book. So that's a series that
I'll tell you about. Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
And it threw me off. My wife's a book girly. Like she was a book girly before she met me. It's been a book girly since, she met me. She listened to Parachutes the other day. And she, like, when she was done with it, she walked up to me and just started kissing me or whatever. She's like, I love you, husband, right? And then she started crying. I'm being dead real. She started crying. And I hope she don't mind me telling this story. But she started crying. She was like, you did an amazing job with that book.
That's awesome.
I was like, wow.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean?
And I want to get into the book right now.
I didn't know how to take it. And she's my toughest, she's my outside of myself.
Toughest critic, yeah.
She'll kill me. But she was like, she cried. And I was like, whoa. And so, so that being said, check it out. Let me know what you think.
It means more when it comes from the wife.
From the missus. It always means the most, man. But thank you, Midnite. We appreciate you for sitting down with us, man.
Absolutely, brother.
Until next time. I'm the speaker.
It's going to be a part 2.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Jules,
we got to have you back, bro. Yeah, we got to have you back, bro.
Until next time, y'all. Peace.
Peace.